Hello, litigators and opinionators. Court is now in session. My goodness, guys, this TYRE Nichols case gets worse and worse. I have been looking at a lot of other stories that I want to talk about, but I've been quite busy. So, guys, you may not see me on here for a couple days. I probably will be more active next week, but I needed to come on here to talk about some of the issues that have been unfolding in the TYRE Nichols tragedy. Now, we heard this rumor, and I didn't really want to talk about it until there was more information disclosed about it. But it turns out, to me, one of the most disturbing officers involved in this was Demetrius Haley. Demetrius Haley is the first officer on the screen, officer number one. And we talked about his pretty long rap sheet and some of the disturbing things that he does or allegedly has been accused of doing as a law officer. You'll have to watch my prior videos for that. But more disturbing things have come out about this Demetrius Haley officer. It turns out, you guys, after TYRE was brutally beaten, guys, to a pulp, Demetrius Haley turned around and took a photo of it and sent photos of TYRE Nichols' bruised, bloody, battered body to individuals, including a female acquaintance. Can you believe this? Also a female acquaintance. That tells me that he made a complete mockery and joke out of this tragedy. He didn't feel any ounce of empathy, humanity, remorse, or anything for TYRE. It's like he was celebrating this tragic demise as if he was proud. It was like a sense of accomplishment and honor. So disturbing. Let's read this article, guys. Officer took and shared photos of bloody TYRE Nichols. Documents say Demetrius Haley sent photos of Nichols to other officers and a female acquaintance. And this is a person who holds a sign with TYRE Nichols' name at a protest in New York on January 28th. And I haven't seen a lot of protesting going on lately, but this was, if any case needs a protest, this case does. Newly released documents in the case of the fatal beating of TYRE Nichols by Memphis police last month provide a scathing account of what authorities called the blatantly unprofessional conduct of 5 officers. And that's a kind description of it because it's even worse than that. It's very inhumane what they did. It includes new revelations about how one of them took and shared pictures of the bloodied victim. This is so horrific, guys. I can't believe this. You would think you see a human, a soul lying on the ground, that they would have rethought what they did. They would have regrouped and realized that they had done something wrong. But no, it was like they were celebrating a victory and taking photographs of TYRE. It's so sad. TYRE didn't deserve any of this. The officer, Demetrius Haley, stood over Nichols as he laid propped against a police car after the assault and took photographs, which Haley sent to other officers and a female acquaintance, according to documents released by Tennessee Peace Officers Standard and Training Commission on Tuesday. Your on-duty conduct was unjustly, blatantly unprofessional, and unbecoming for a sworn public servant, the Memphis Police Department wrote in, requesting that Haley and the other officers be stripped of their professional certification as law enforcement personnel. And that they should, because you guys know what happens in a lot of these cases is that these officers, they will commit these type of misconducts, and then they turn around and they get rehired somewhere else as if nothing ever happened. But when they are stripped of this certificate, professional certificate of law enforcement personnel, that means they can't go and try to apply somewhere else. They are stripped of their ability to do that. All 5 have already been fired and charged with second-degree murder and other felonies following the attack of Nichols after a traffic stop on January 7th and his death in hospital 3 days later. Nichols' death sparked protests and fresh calls for reform of police in Memphis and nationwide. Haley's lawyer declined to comment, and lawyers for the other 4 officers either declined to comment or did not respond to requests for Associated Press. Yeah, because they really don't have a defense, to be honest. They don't. It's very clear on that video that TYRE Nichols weighing only 150 pounds versus over 1,000 pounds if you want to aggregate all the cops that were attacking this man. He did not pose any threat, and he was unarmed in addition to that. The new documents offer the most detailed account to date of the actions of the 5 officers: Haley Desmond Mills Jr., Tadarius Beans, Justin Smith, and Emmett Martin III. Another officer has been fired, and a 7th officer has been relieved of duty in connection with the latest police killing to prompt angry nationwide protests and an intense public conversation about how police officers treat Black residents. Yeah, it's a huge issue. As many as 13 Memphis officers could end up being disciplined, officials said on Tuesday. So guys, this case is still continually building. It looks like they're looking into more officers who may possibly be disciplined for this. So it's just a complete disaster. I feel like this beating was probably one up there with Rodney King and probably one of the worst I've seen. I mean, we see a lot of beatings, but this one was just completely inhumane. And then the fact that they turned around, or Demetrius Haley turned around and took pictures, shows his callous, evil nature. And the fact that he sent it to a woman, what was this, a sense of pride and honor? Like, this woman's going to go on a date with you now because you happened to beat someone to death? Like, why are you proud of that? It doesn't make sense. The newly released documents are part of a request by the Memphis Police Department that the 5 officers who have been charged with murder be decertified and prohibited from working in law enforcement again. I agree. And I don't know, guys, let me know if you've in the chat, if you've seen this happen with other cases with officers who have engaged in police brutality and have been charged with a crime. I don't recall them being decertified, but let me know in the chat in other cases, because we've seen other cases where officers have been tried and convicted of murder and so forth. But I don't remember them going to this second step. So it looks like they're doing something more in this case, given the heinous nature. You guys let me know. Or is it because it's easy to do because of the ethnicity of the officers involved? It's a question I have. The Memphis Police Chief, Saralyn C.J. Davis, signed each of the 5 requests to decertify the officers. So the sheriff chief is doing something about it. But like I said, I still side-eye her for the reasons I discussed in a prior video you'll have to watch. Haley, who was driving an unmarked car, number 1, wore a black sweatshirt hoodie over his head, number 2, forced Nichols from his car using loud profanity, then sprayed him directly in his eyes with chemical irritant spray, according to the statement. Now, you guys, I have to emphasize this, and I don't think I really discussed this on my prior videos regarding TYRE Nichols. We have to look at the fact that these officers were in unmarked patrol cars and they wore black t-shirts with a hoodie. How do we even know that TYRE knew that these individuals were officers in the first place? What if he didn't even know that they're officers? He could have thought that he was being robbed. That's a question that I have. How did he know that they were officers? That could also explain why he ran too. He could have thought that he was being under attack by some people that were trying to pretend to be cops because they didn't have marked patrol cars and they were all wearing black. Now, yeah, they had the big police, letters on the sweater, but what's to say that, given TYRE, he doesn't have any encounters with officers on his regular days. He doesn't have any prior criminal records. He's not in the legal system like that. So his experience when he encounters officers is they usually are driving in a patrol car. They normally have police uniform on. They have their badge showing. So given a man who's not normally involved in criminal activity and he doesn't have many interactions with officers as it is, it wouldn't be his typical experience to see officers driving around with a black car and wearing all black. That's a question I have, that maybe he ran because he thought in his mind, these aren't cops. These are people trying to pretend to be cops, and maybe they're going to rob me or harm me, and I need to get away and get to safety. And that if he could get to his mom, maybe this would stop them from harming him. That's a question I do have, and I'm interested in your perspective regarding that. Moving on and continuing with this article, though. That's the thing, because the black shirt and hoodie, guys, why? I just have issues with that. I know that they're in that Scorpion unit, but I think that's problematic for civilians who don't normally encounter officers. And especially another issue I have is there's usually patrol officers that engage in traffic stops, not individuals or officers involved in specialized units. Officers in specialized units don't normally conduct traffic stops. They don't survey and look at people driving or whatever and stop them for traffic violations. That's usually up to officers who are working patrol. So that's another question I have. TYRE probably didn't even know that these individuals were officers. He could have thought he was under some type of attack. Big question I have. And it's sad because we can never ask TYRE because he's deceased now, because they brutally beat him to death, and then Demetrius had the audacity to take photos of it. Seriously. You never told the driver the purpose of the vehicle stop or that he was under arrest, it states. Exactly. They never told him why the vehicle stopped. And why would he be under arrest? There was no legal reason for him to be under arrest. They didn't even know what crime he committed, if he committed anything at all. He was just a black civilian driving and was labeled as a drug dealer because of the color of his skin, in my humble opinion. In my humble opinion. And as I mentioned in other videos, that even though a person's African American, they could still harbor resentment or some form of prejudice against their own ethnic group. So that is not something that has been unheard of. Haley did not have his body camera on when he stopped Nichols. Again, another red flag there. It makes me wonder, did he intend this? Why didn't he have his body camera on? Why did he turn it off? Because he, in my opinion, knew he was going to engage in something illegal, and he knew he was engaging in misconduct, and he was trying to, I think because of the initial creation of this Scorpion unit was to go around finding people engaging in drugs. They knew that they were stopping TYRE for unlawful reasons. And that's why, in my opinion, Demetrius didn't bother to turn on his body camera, because he knew he was going to do something he should not be doing, in my humble opinion. Why didn't you have your body camera on? What were you trying to hide, Haley? And then you turn around and take pictures? Seriously? Nichols ran from the officers, but was apprehended again a few blocks away. At this point, Haley kicked him in the torso as 3 other officers were handcuffing him. What was the necessity of kicking him in the torso, as you have 3 officers that have control of TYRE's person already? They're trying to handcuff him. So why kick him? It was not necessary, which goes to the unethical, inhumane conduct of these officers, especially as we're talking about Haley. Just sad, right? Why did you kick him in the torso? Other officers kicked Nichols in the face, punched him, or struck him with a baton. According to the footage captured on a utility pole camera, one of the officers appears to quickly take a photo of Nichols on his phone as flashlights are shined on him. So it seems like some type of conspiracy that was going on with all the officers who were compliant, because we have some officers shining the light on TYRE Nichols' bruised and battered, bloody face as Demetrius takes a photograph to basically celebrate in the demise, in the brutal beating of TYRE Nichols. This case is absolutely horrific, guys. If any case deserves the death penalty, and I know that's a controversial topic, this case honestly does. Never in our life have we heard of an officer getting a death penalty. But I'm saying what they did to TYRE was absolutely inhumane. And it was not justified. There was no logical reason for what they did to his man. It's like they were punishing him for running, when that is not what an officer has the authority to do at all, period. Taking photos of him? Like it's a badge of honor to beat this man to death? And all they did was just create more evidence. Martin claimed Nichols tried to snatch the officer's gun from his holster after another officer forced him out of the vehicle, which we didn't see on the video footage, mind you, with Martin helping by grabbing Nichols' wrists. They had control of his wrist, so how could he take a gun? He wasn't even moving his hand. His hand was frozen at that point as the officer was holding his wrist. However, video evidence does not corroborate the gun grab claim, the documents said. Exactly, because they were lying. This case shows prime example that not always officers tell the truth, because a lot of people assume that because they're wearing a badge that they're honest and honorable, but not always. We have to look at each officer case by case basis and see their conduct. Martin also failed to disclose in a required form that he punched Nichols in the face and kicked him multiple times. And I'm not surprised that he failed to disclose that in a form, because we went over their prior history. And these officers, when they engage in violence, they tend to fail to follow procedural requirements to report them on forms that they're required to do. They just fail to do that a lot of times in their history, back in their history. Okay. So this is not anything new with these officers. They've done it before. So he failed to disclose that information. He failed to disclose that he punched Nichols in the face, kicked him multiple times, because he just wanted to have a night of fun of beating someone to death, in my opinion. And instead, added in his later statement to investigators that he gave body blows, the document said. Video showed Martin kicking Nichols repeatedly and punching him in the face 5 times while 2 officers held Nichols' arms. So horrific, guys. So horrific. Horrific. I hope you appreciate this. Oh, and wait, sorry, this is somebody just talking. Sorry, guys. But this is so sad to hear this new information that has come out about this officer, Demetrius Haley. He took a photo like it was a badge of honor and then texted to 5 individuals, guys. This is it. There's 2 photos of the pretty TYRE Nichols. 2 photos it was. Can you believe this? This is so sad. The more information that gets released about this case just shows the callous, evil behavior of these officers and their lack of remorse for it. Sometimes people are not always worthy of the power that they're given. And in this case, this is a prime example. 2 photographs on his personal phone, by the way. And this is according to a state document that has been written. And the thing is, so he sent it to a civilian employee of the police department. And this, I wonder who this female acquaintance is, okay? And why did he think it was just so honorable to beat this man to death? Like that's going to get him some type of applause from the woman. And I hope it did not. It's so horrific, guys. This case gets sadder and sadder as Haley stood over Nichols a few minutes after beating him. And he's seen shining a flashing light on Nichols and appears to snap 2 photos with his cell phone. That is so sad. It's like it was a badge of honor for them to beat this hardworking citizen who never hurt anyone. Right. And like Tavia said, black hoodie is not professional uniform at all. Exactly. And if you have a man who doesn't have encounters with officers, doesn't have much experience with officers, he's just a good citizen that minds his own business, follows the law, and he encounters these unprofessionally dressed officers. And like I said, there is a whole different police unit that patrol traffic. They're the police officers that patrol traffic. They have a patrol vehicle. They have their uniform, their badge, everything. These officers are not patrol officers. These officers are specialized unit officers. So TYRE, what is he to know that these are officers? He could have thought, oh my God, maybe these are people trying to rob me, and ran out of fear to safety. He didn't see officers in a patrol car with uniforms on. No, he saw men in black vehicles with hoodies on and all black. So he probably looked at these people and was like, oh my God, these are not officers. These are people trying to rob me, and was like, let me get the heck out of here for safety. This is a question that I do have, and I wish, we can never know the answer because TYRE is not here. Girl, Chosen, you got to watch the live, girl. It's crazy what this officer did. It's just so inhumane, girl. It's so inhumane and very sad. But you guys, let me know what you think about this. This case gets more and more heartbreaking. I am so distraught by this case, and I just pray that TYRE get justice. Justice to me, honestly, is these officers never seen the light of day. They don't even deserve to be free. They use that badge as a way to go around and terrorize Memphis. And they should be held accountable like any other individual who breaks the law and treats humans as if they do not matter because of the color of their skin. Thank you so much, guys, for watching. Take care and be kind and courteous in the chat.